Hello, my name is Jason Pett. I lead PwC's Risk Assurance practice, and we're coming live from Boston at PwC's Risk Summit that we are conducting right now with many of our clients and analysts. I'm joined here by Brent Saunders, who's the CEO of Allergan. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to just spend a couple minutes talking about innovation and innovation in the context of both your business and the ecosystem in which you're operating, how you think about that, and then how you're responding to an ever-changing environment. So I guess my opening question, just to jump right in, is you're the CEO of a huge organization that's constantly innovating products, bringing them to market. You're operating in an incredibly complex ecosystem of healthcare. How do you think about innovation and innovating your business and your markets in that environment?
Yeah, it's interesting for Allergan, and probably true for any biopharmaceutical company, is innovation really is the lifeblood of what we do, right? At our most basic level, the remit that we have is to find cures and treatments for unmet medical need, to improve people's lives, to help people live longer lives. And so we have this amazing mission that we get to capitalize on and then use that to create innovations. Historically, that's been innovations in chemistry. And today, it's moved more to innovations in biology, and tomorrow it's going to move into more personalized medicines and gene therapies and the like. But the question is, can we also innovate our business model, right? Can we change the way we interact with customers? Can we talk about digitizing our businesses? Can we innovate our business flow and business process functions? And so we need to make innovation part of every aspect of what we do, not just the remit of the R&D department.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you talk about it being part of everything that you do. That really comes down to having an innovation culture, right? So you have clearly articulated that as chairman and CEO of this organization, but how do you make sure that drives all the way down in the organization so that everybody's thinking that way, not just that department you talked about?
Yeah, so they're kind of, at its most basic level, it's very hard to do, right? Everybody wants to be innovative. Everybody wants to have an innovation culture. And so my view is, from the CEO or chairman spot, how do you cultivate that is you create innovation energy, right? You really focus on the three things levers that you have to pull, which are, at the most basic level, it's your culture, right? And how do you think about the things that kill innovation, like bureaucracy and risk management done inappropriately? Great talent. Everybody wants the best people, but are you hiring people that look like the other people in the business all the time? Or are you going out and pushing yourself to hire from talent pools that you don't normally recruit from? Perhaps in our case, instead of getting pharmaceutical marketers, go out and hire people who've been entrepreneurs and startups in the digital world. Right. Or data scientists instead of chemists. So are we pushing ourselves there? And then lastly, incentives. I think one of the things that entrepreneurial and innovative companies do is they create a performance-based incentive structure that rewards the risk that people take when they innovate, but also creates a culture where people can be open and candid about their failures, because A, we need to learn from them, and two, we don't want to create more risk by having people cover them up.
Right. And if you don't have a culture in which you can fail openly and quickly, then you have no ability to take chances, and then you have no ability to innovate. So I think driving that kind of fail fast and fail openly is a huge part of what's important part.
Yeah, and the best way to really make people comfortable with that is have your top people, including me, talk about your failures.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you talk very openly with your colleagues about your failures and what you learned from them and how that made you a better leader or a better manager or a better thought leader in this particular area, well, then it just becomes part of the culture, right? It just becomes, it's not a big deal. It's something that is accepted. If you have too much hubris that you can't talk about your failures, and your whole leadership team can't talk about their failures, you get what you reap what you sow.
Right. Well, let's dig in a little bit on risk management. You talked about it potentially being a stifler to innovation. How do you think about managing the risk of innovation differently across your business, depending upon different aspects of your business and what you're trying to accomplish in your strategy?
Yeah, so I think risk management, if done inappropriately, as I said, can be a massive absorbent agent for this innovation energy that I talk about, right? it puts the wet blanket over all
Yeah,
the great ideas and all the chances people want to take. And so I think if you do it right, it becomes an offensive part of your arsenal, right? If you know where the risks are and you know the risks you're willing to accept and you understand how to mitigate those risks, so you're ahead of the curve on risk management, then you feel a lot more comfortable allowing people to take chances in the right way, in the right setting, in the right context, to push the business, to push your ideas, to maybe fail fast, maybe succeed beyond our dreams. And so it's going to be one of those things. But if you just let risk management run its normal course, it becomes an energy absorber. And if you do it really well, it becomes an energizer for innovation.
Yeah, PwC just launched our risk and review paper yesterday, and it talks about this group of companies that we're calling adapters who are able to have risk management be an effective enabler to strategic risk taking, right? And that if you can move risk management early enough in the process, it becomes an enabler for success rather than a detractor from success. So
I'm all bought into that.
It sounds like that's exactly what you want.
I didn't read the paper, but I fully concur.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So let's talk about talent, right? You can't do any of this without people, without the best people. You referred a little bit to hiring different types of talent and thinking differently about talent. How, as you fast forward over the next 18, 24 months, the talent landscape just continues to get more complicated. How are you thinking about changing the talent model?
Yeah, so I would argue you have to apply innovation to your quest to pursue the best talent, right? Every CEO you could bring will sit up here and say, we hire the best people, we have all the criteria because we want the best at our company. And that's true. Everybody aspires to hire the best. I say we have to hire the right people. So we have to hire the people who want to work in a company like Allergan, that understand our cultural values, what we're trying to accomplish. And then second, we have to hire people with diversity. And today that means inclusion, right? And that's so important. But it also means diversity of experience, right? So if a marketing person resigns or we need to fill a new role for marketing, do we go out and hire someone who looks a whole lot like, from an experience level, like all the other marketing people? Or do we go and hire someone who came from, an internet startup or a fast-paced consumer business and bring that new experience along with all the new things that a new person brings, right? Diversity and everything else to bear. And so I think you have to challenge your hiring systems to say, don't just think about diversity in the traditional way, which is so important. Think about diversity of experience, right? Bring people in that don't have the experience that everybody else has. So you get this benefit of this really dynamic culture.
Yeah, that's great. So,
and by the way, it's easy. You know this even from PwC. The most comfortable hire is to hire someone that's awfully like the person you replaced.
Looks like you, sure.
Right, and we've all gotten good at thinking about trying to hire people that are diverse from their backgrounds or other areas, but we've not really gotten good at diversity of experience.
Yeah.
And so I think you got to throw that in.
Yeah, and candidly, as a partner at PwC, it's one of our challenges is we're looked by our clients to provide diverse experiences and diverse talent. So we're forced then to be ahead of the curve in terms of trying to hire a different person that the market is going to ask for tomorrow.
Right, and having been a former PwC partner, I remember trying to bring in people sometimes, and as you would bring them through the interview process, and it was very thoughtfully done at PwC, you get sometimes the feedback, well, I'm not sure how this person really fits. Their experience isn't relevant. Yeah. And I would say, bingo, right? Exactly. That's exactly why we want them, because we got 20 people who have that experience. I need one with a different experience. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let's talk about kind of this ecosystem. You talk about the open sciences model, and I think it's a very important part of your strategy and how you fit into this complex ecosystem. Can you just spend a little time thinking about how you think about that and how you then plug into that model?
Yeah, sure. So we do employ a strategy for scientific innovation that's called open science. And the idea, the basic premise of it is that the days of needing scale to innovate in our industry are gone. That was when it was primarily a chemistry-based industry, and you had to buy large chemical molecules and come up with very scale-driven ways to screen those molecules. Today, that's not true. We're primarily a biology and moving to a more individualized or personalized medicine approach. And so scale has become so much less important. And as a result of that, this ecosystem of really smart people all over the world has evolved that can do really meaningful, innovative work in these areas of medicine and science. And so our goal was not to replicate that, because we could never hire or build enough labs to replicate what exists externally, but to tap into it. And I think, it's still a work in progress for certain, but I think it's really going to pay off for us, because the science is changing so quickly and evolving so quickly. If we had bought something, it would be out to date already, and we'd have this fixed infrastructure that was old science.
Yeah.
And so now we can stay cutting edge, and we can stay tapped into these really intelligent, smart people who complement the work we're doing. And so the key attributes we needed were obviously we need really smart scientists to do the assessment, but more partnering and relationship skills versus a not-invented here mentality, right? And a lot of companies, they believe the work they're doing is the best, and the outside work is second to theirs because they know their work better. We needed to break the cultural barrier and say, no, the smarter people are outside of our walls, and we need to be great partners and be able to work with those people to advance those science projects to hopefully become medicines or cures one day.
Yeah, that's great. So, in essence, tapping into that network for some of your innovations, some of your thinking.
Yes.
How do you then manage that kind of third-party risk as more organizations get into kind of your delivery system, either post production or even during the production process? How do you think about managing that risk when the risk is now outside of the walls of your building?
Yeah, so to be fair, the basic science comes from outside, but ultimately, if we advance it, and the place you need scale in our industry is in clinical development, right? It takes $2 billion in 10 years to bring a science idea to become a medicine, right? And so that's where we then take over, right? Yeah. So we'll work very collaboratively to generate human data to get to the point where you have to do large controlled clinical trials, and then we tend to bring it in-house in a very thoughtful way, and then control it from there.
Yeah, good. Well, I know we've had a couple questions come in over the line, so feel free to keep those coming. One that jumps out, I think we won't probably only have time for one question, but it's a very simple, straightforward question. What innovation at Allergan are you most excited about? Because you guys are doing a lot of things.
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's like trying to pick your favorite child, but I could argue that some of the digitization of our medical aesthetics business is exciting, but probably the thing I'm most excited for is some of the work we're doing in mental health. And we have some really breakthrough medicines. In fact, the FDA has labeled it a breakthrough medicine in development, still in testing, that could change the way we treat diseases like depression and potentially even suicidality, one of the top 10 causes of death with no real treatment. So working hard on it. We'll get some data next year to know if we really have something here, but the understanding of the biology of the brain and where we can go in the future, whether it be Parkinson's and maybe one day Alzheimer's and MS and autism and some of these really horrific diseases that really have no real cure or meaningful treatment, I think are our future. And so we got to keep pushing our open science model. We got to keep pushing innovation so that one day, we'll be sitting up here talking about how we hopefully have a cure for Alzheimer's.
Be super exciting. Well, at PwC, we're committed to helping our clients innovate, helping them think about what the risks are of those innovations, what the risks are of not innovating, and we're committed to innovating ourselves to deliver kind of the best solutions we possibly can to companies like yourself. So we're excited to continue the partnership and to walk with you.
To be fair, you've been a great partner. We've worked with PwC throughout the whole journey of Allergan, and couldn't ask for a better partner.
Good. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you for spending time with us today. And have a wonderful day.